the profile picture for all the things now. That's fucking hilarious.
So I believe we are officially live on YouTube.
Welcome, YouTubers.
For all those YouTubers that aren't actually watching us, I don't know if you want to do your thing and check that.
Do you want me to post the link on my Insta?
Go on. Do you have an Insta? Post it on Twitter. Do the whole thing.
I forgot. I did
we are live.
I did the is this technically the cold open then?
I guess so. So we need to start the other thing. Have you started recording on Logic?
Just now.
Okay, cool.
Welcome to the podcast. Cold open.
On Logic. So as is tradition around here, we need to go 3, 2, 1. So as cold opens go, Jeffrey, this is one we set up in episode 2 of season 4, where you gave us your Mount Rushmores of American songwriters because you didn't want to confuse English people in it as well. So, and we promised that we'd come back in episode 6 of season 4 and you would give us your Stonehenge of English songwriters. So I hope you're prepared.
Stonehenge of English songwriters. Wow. I feel like that's something
How many Stonehenges are there?
My several hundred Instagram followers deserve to be seeing. So I didn't tell you, but I gave it a test run. Some of the content you sent me, and I put it on Instagram as a story. It was the bit where I was making fun of James Hetfield, that funny clip you sent me.
Yeah.
Bit of engagement.
Really?
A few likes, few lol emojis, I have to be honest with you. And a few like, hey, what is this podcast?
Really?
From people. Yeah, even though I did write the name of it and I thought that might be enough, but hey ho, apparently we might have to enter our new link in bio era. Right. So just a heads up on that one. And yeah, I guess
on Blue Sky, right?
Blue Sky. I did get an email from them the other day, so they're still about.
Added stuff to the.
They have added stuff. Network. Now I wanted to do a different cold open, which I thought we agreed on 3 minutes ago, but I'll take the swerve and I'll run with it because if we're talking Stonehenge of English songwriting, it gives me a chance to say, hey, have you heard of Tony McCarroll? No, from your face, it looks like you might not have. Have you heard of Paul McGuigan?
Ooh. Sorry, say that again.
Paul McGuigan?
McGuigan?
McGuigan, yeah, definitely. The famous Paul McGuigan, bit of a bassist, Tony McCarroll on drums. Have you heard of Paul Arthurs by any chance?
Yes. My favorite artist.
Oh, do you know what? Paul Arthurs, I bet you have heard of because he usually goes by the name Bonehead, Paul Bonehead Arthurs.
Yeah.
Are we warmer yet?
Yep.
Oh, he's still not warm at all yet. Oh, maybe when I mention the other two names and finish off this little parody of English Stonehenge of songwriters, you'll probably know who I'm talking about to get onto the topic I want to discuss. That's right, Liam and Noel Gallagher. Christopher. We had to talk about it briefly, so that's how I'm bringing it up. Those are the original members of Oasis, and did you know that to get even a chance of entering the pre-sale ballot, you had to answer a trivia question of who their original drummer was? It was Tony McCarroll.
So you had to do it. Well, because you Googled it, so.
Well, everyone Googled it. Fair play. They should have actually made it.
Everyone didn't get tickets.
And everyone didn't get tickets.
Did you
exactly.
Get tickets?
I did not. I definitely tried.
And
here's the thing. Yeah, because there's so much fallout over this dynamic pricing thing. The government is now investigating it. But all I wanted to say is, in our tradition, especially if the stream is working and we have video, how much am I going to nail this one? I want you to imagine in your mind the GIF that goes with what I'm about to say. Okay?
Okay.
How I feel living in a world where Radiohead aren't an active band and Oasis have tour dates. Okay, now close your eyes. Just have a little method minute. And are you thinking of a GIF?
I'm struggling to think of one. All I've got is Simpson GIFs in my head. Is it Simpsons related?
It's. You know what? A lot of the time it would be. But instead, I would like you to open your phone, if you don't mind, to reveal to the camera what I think is the correct GIF for the feeling I feel.
I can't keep getting away with this.
Have a look. That's the GIF. And let's start the show. You did it. You're here. I'm gassed from the cold open because, sometimes depending on
the question.
Depending on your podcast cardio, sometimes you have to get back on the treadmill, loosen up, limber up. Christopher, how do you feel about getting back on getting back on all the. I was going to say supplements.
It's only been a week. It's
only been a week
since the last pod. But it's not like it's been 3 or more.
No, it's been it's definitively been a week.
I'm more tanned than I was a week ago. It's just not a thing.
You're just a Greek guy.
Yes.
Being Greek in England. I mean,
don't tell too many people. I'll either be put on a boat and fired at, or sent on a plane to Rwanda. But
2024 England. Hopefully, when we listen back in 2029, we'll be like, "Oh, that was a funny little blip."
I just wanted to bring up something else from a Wembley trip that you went to, and one of the raps that referenced 2024 England.
Yeah, no, people have to generalize for our general listener. Hey, new listener, welcome. We're about to welcome you. Just wait by the door one last minute. I know you want to take your coat off.
The forbidden door.
But yeah, no, that was crazy. So shout out the first reference of the EDL riots on the CCCAHs, I guess. That was fun. But listen, Christopher, honestly, let's welcome the new listener in. Would you like to pitch me a 30-second game during which I can get my thoughts together on what this podcast really is? Hey, if you just want to give me the classic, I'm down for a classic.
No, I've been thinking about this for a full 24 seconds.
Okay.
And, no, genuinely, actually, I did think about it earlier today, and I was like, if it's my go, nice. Do I have one? Do I have a thing? Do I have a thing? Do I have a thing? So for new listeners, you're going to explain what the pod is to them in 30 seconds.
Right, yeah.
However, as is tradition, we're going to give you some sort of little gimmick to do that with. And I want you to set yourself back into the mid-80s, into one of these cool clubs. To be honest, I just want you to do an impression of that Morris guy that I watched in Purple Rain, because he's basically the champion of that movie. So I want you to be some swami, slimy, weird music promoter trying to convince some new hot girl in the club that they need to be on your podcast. And you're going to explain to them what it's about in 30 seconds or less.
Okay.
And your time starts now, Jeffrey.
Hey, baby, what you even talking about listening to all those James Acaster sort of food podcasts? Aren't you cultural? Don't you feel the groove of what's going on in the culture? I know this podcast, baby. You should come on my podcast. Come and sit around talking to a microphone, get your levels correct. You should talk about Purple Rain. Come talk about things. We guess, we pitch, we score. We're friends, honey. Don't worry about me. There's other people there, honey. Everything's fun. Everything's cool. Everything's kosher.
You never cease to amaze me, Jeffrey. Honestly. Because genuinely, a lot of our shit's rehearsed. We might have planned our cold opens. We might plan what we're going to, sometimes when we're going to pitch and how long pitches should be and all this sort of stuff. But genuinely, the 30-second game is off the cuff. And you knocked it out of the park. You didn't explain what the pod's about.
I didn't at all. And I'm going to say for new listeners, this is one of those just roll with the episodes. Listen, we pitch things, we score things. It's about culture. Okay, it's two friends giving each other things to have a look at.
Things can be new. Normally, one of my pitches. Those things can be old. Normally, some of Jeff's pitches.
That's the general dynamic of 4 seasons in. And then we come back and it's like, hey, how well do you know your friend? And yeah, I would like to say there's a very generous use of the word rehearse, but I guess so. I guess it's completely off the cuff, the 30-second game, and that is true. Christopher, we have two quite, as you say, this is a week for one old thing and one new thing. Something borrowed, something blue. No, just one old, one new. We've got the film Purple Rain from the year 1984 with one of the characters who you've just been introduced to, Morris, featuring in it. But we also have Childish Gambino with an album. Was it the Marlon Brando Stone?
Yeah, 100%.
To be fair, I was giving you guff in our chat, but I also made that exact same mistake. It's actually Bando Stone and the New World. And you were especially gassed as of last week when we were discussing how it was like almost a parallel pitch because Bando Stone and the New World was also lined up to be a movie. And it got me quite excited. I think you explained in the episode, to be fair to you, that it wasn't like a set thing, a done deal. But
I've seen a trailer. I've seen a trailer.
He's definitely made a trailer. He's cool. He's made other movie things. He's Atlanta man. He's community man. He's interested in film and visual art, and that's going to come later. He has. This is another appearance from him. But what do you say we get there slowly? I do need to talk about Prince. We've opened with the Morris character. I think, can we open with the tiniest bit of princey context.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the artist formerly known as?
Can
you sum up your feelings even?
He basically falls into that category that was spoken about a lot. Whereas if I discovered him when I was younger, I probably would have done the whole back catalogue. Hello, Louis. Would have done the whole shebang, gone all in, and sort of just because he's a very curious character. He's an incredible songwriter, musician, everything, dancer. Guy takes his top off in this movie, and he's looking good.
That was genuinely a moment.
That wasn't it? I was like, guy works out. Didn't expect that from little scrawny little Prince man, or the kid, as he's referred to in this movie.
He's the kid.
But yeah, I feel that as an adult, I ain't got time to go into all of that. I have my things that I like. I have his 40th anniversary Saturday Night Live sort of after party video and his stories with Jimmy Fallon. I have his Super Bowl performance that I've watched multiple times. I have his cover of Creep that was released and made public once he died. And I have stories of people that went to his residency at the O2 and said they were absolutely blown away by it. That's
FOMO Hall of Fame.
That's on the FOMO Hall of Fame. So that's my Prince thing. Obviously, I'm a Jacko guy, so there's some unnecessary resentment.
Bit of aggro.
Yeah, see, that's like you're either Prince or MJ. However, my final point that I put at the bottom of my notes for this movie is that this movie is so MJ, it's unbelievable.
I'm great point, great shout. Like, I was
literally. If MJ made this movie, it would be exactly the same as this.
Dude, we've got a through line now from Moonwalker to the Wizard of Oz one, to the Wiz, to fucking Purple. I do feel like they're all in the same universe of fucking batshit crazy films.
Yeah, in the 80s, they found a pop star and said, "Do you want to make a movie?" And they went, "Sure."
Yeah.
Do you have a story? Nope.
But it's me, right? In the thing.
I'm in the thing, and I'm the main thing. And MJ would never have done the stuff that Prince does in this movie.
I guess not. Yes, there's some stuff he does wild out in some respect. Yeah, it's so weird that they're tied together because in so many ways they're so bloody different. I thought you were going to open.
We have a premise in this one, which is a good thing. Like there was a premise in the Wizard of Oz one, but that's because Michael Jackson didn't write it. But and the Wizard of Oz existed, so they had something to go on.
They're working with some material, classic 2024 in a way. They were just adapting already known material.
But there's a lovely little storyline in here, which for the audience is the Revolution are a band. There's a band called The Time, which is like Morris's, who's like this other musician guy.
It's already very Jets and Sharks. There's like a good band and a bad band.
It's very much I haven't actually seen the movie, but they're very much the sort of the two gangs that like dance at each other.
West Side Story, Jets and Sharks, just referenced it.
Oh, good. I didn't get the reference. This is why we're here to educate each other.
This is why we're here.
But yeah, so they're like two bands going at each other. And then Lady appears in said club. And then both lead people from band are after said lady. And that's kind of your premise. But the kid also has issues at home. And I'm going to keep calling him the kid because that's his character name.
That is his character
name. So Prince has got like his parents are like fighting, then they're having sex, and then they're beating each other up, and then the gun goes off, and I don't quite know what happens. So he's got family issues, which he then starts to like manifest himself in his own personality and with the lady interest. But that's kind of your general premise. Prince is having some sort of bad times with his band where they're like, "Why don't you listen to my songs?" He's like, "We'll do my stuff, man." And then like
he's a proper little dick about it as well. Mate, he's losing as the supposed babyface hero of this movie. He does this thing to the.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Make
all the points.
These 80s garms are coming back, man. Because I'm looking at them going, you know what? That's an outfit and a half. Also, purple motorcycle with a Telecaster on your back, driving out of the club. Like life goals. That
is life goals. Even though if that was
like, that's how I leave the gig.
I mean, yeah, again, that does come back to the whole Prince
and how
pitching
can
the
you
movie.
Sort of a purple motorcycle, but still live at home? These are things that are questions that.
Dude, the 80s were a different time. The 80s were a different time.
He live at home because he lives in like the basement where he takes women to have sex. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. It is so MJ. If anything, you've tied together this thing for me where I thought your whole spiel about how did you feel about Prince was going to be MJ related, and it was actually barely MJ related. But to bring it back round, I almost felt
MJ is very early on in my life as sort of before I sort of learnt music. I
Yes,
want to be a pop
yes,
star. So there's always the musician in the back of my head that like looks at someone like Prince and goes, actually, he's a freaking incredible musician, songwriter, craftsman, whatever you want.
Yes.
And he's pretty good at the guitar, man. Honestly.
Well, I think credit for that. I think that's the main easy takeaway for me, because I kind of pitched this falling in exactly the same category as you, without the MJ allegiance of just, oh, I wish I could get into this guy. He seems like a really intriguing figure. Let me pitch it and see if that works. And I listened to Purple Rain for the very first time. I listened to it a lot. And I feel like I'm still a bit baffled by all of it. I'm baffled by him. I'm baffled by his songs. I'm baffled by his movie. The movie I'm probably baffled about in the most bemused way. Like, it didn't, I don't know where your scores are going to take us, because so far you've pleasantly delivered all of these takes, but they're not exactly rating the fuck out of it. And I would say this movie is tonally odd. Like, we've got affection for it now because we've been through these MJ wars and we know what we're looking at and we're judging it on a curve. But every now and again when I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck are we even doing? So yeah, we've got the parents fighting, and very super melodramatic, and Prince sort of gets involved to help the mum, but then doesn't. And then the dad's crying these big old tears. Oh, and there's this whole subplot with him playing piano, and Prince is like, hey, that's pretty good. Do you have any of that music anywhere, like, written down? And his dad's like, nope, I never write it down. They're in my head, man. And then at the end, he finds them written down. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Well, maybe that was his thing. He was just kind of like, I don't know.
But the tone of and how, you actually made me even realize, I didn't quite get that the main issue with him and Morris was going for the same girl. Oh, let's talk about the girl. Lovely looking woman, lovely screen presence. And then she sort of gets a gig being through Morris, kind of, or not even through the. She gets a gig.
Aquilina or something.
Mate, the name sent me. Apollinaria? I think that's it. I think I just Apollinia.
And why is the band called Apollina's Six, but there's three of them?
Right. So she's singing. No. So she tells Prince she's got I'm going to be with Morris's band. Man backhands her straight away. The degrees to which my guy is just a crazy domestic abuser in this film, and you have to be like, nah, still the hero though, yeah, still the hero. And he plays this.
So sorry. Just for context.
Yeah.
She turns up to his weird basement house underneath his crazy parents. Yeah.
Yes.
Gives him a guitar as a present. Like, literally goes, here's this white guitar. It's beautiful. He looks at it and goes, oh my God. And she's like, yeah, for you. And he's like, you could, shouldn't. He's like, I did. They're having a lovely moment. And then she goes, oh, so I'm going to join Morris's band. And he just out of nowhere smacks her backhand across the face. And I'm just like, what is happening?
To be fair, later on in the film, he wants to backhand her again because that is his default mode.
His growth is that he doesn't.
And he flashbacks to his dad beating his mum, and the film really hammers you over the head with like, oh, he's inheriting this. So I'm like, oh, this film is like 2%. This film is 2% more deep than I realized. I thought they were just throwing fucking shit at the wall. Apparently, they're trying to make a legit point, which I feel like might be true to Prince's life, to a point of having a pretty abusive and/or absent father.
Yeah.
Fucking just let's throw some conjecture out there, shall we? But it feels very, why would you include this unless it's real?
His father seems very present, not absent.
Yeah, that's true. Overly present, annoyingly present, abusively
aggressively present.
Yeah, aggressively present is the word. Show title, please. But yeah, so that scene's weird. I could just do a bunch of like, so this scene is weird, so that scene is weird.
I've got a list of weird scenes. So
and yeah, for the listener, before the list, I somehow feel like this isn't detracting from the score as much as
occasionally a song happens, you're like, banger.
Yeah.
And what's great is that with the premise of this being sort of a battle of the bands thing with the love interest, is that he shoehorns songs from Purple Rain and it's live performances scattered throughout this, and they're not like in a weird Michael Jackson way where people break out into song or turn into claymation.
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's true. I guess the main difference is
he goes onto stage and each time he's playing a different song that he's learning, and it's almost like I'm assuming it's kind of like a journey through the album, through the themes of the film, where eventually he takes the song from the girls that have been trying to write a song as part of the band, and that song ends up being Purple Rain. But I wrote down the first thing was I need to ride a purple motorcycle with my Telecaster on my back. That guy, maybe.
Life goals.
There's a lot of staring and gazing in this movie. There's a lot of just...
Did you do a B-reel to try and riff on that?
Yeah, I tried to mimic it. That was my thing.
Okay, I'll put it on the socials.
Yeah. When he first takes Apollonia out, he claims that there's an initiation where she needs to get naked and jump in a river, which I don't think's okay in 2024.
Not okay. One of many things that aren't okay in this film. And then motherfucker pranks her. He starts leaving her. It's so not charming. And he's got this little like, hey, get on. And then she gets on the bike and he's like, you're getting it wet. Like, bro, how is this working? She should be like hating you forever, and yet this is sort of working. Whatever weird gaslighting / physical abuse style of flirting that Prince has, I don't know how, but he fucking scores big time, and it's stressing me out.
All right. There's a weird point when he has like a weird inner monologue with a puppet in a cone.
Oh yeah, that was in the middle of a band argument, or
yeah, I was like,
because the band are like, hey man,
are they seeing the puppet?
Oh, the band argument is so lit. It's like, could just let her play the song. These two girls are working hard on a song. Yeah. So really his growth, we can spell it out. His growth comes from not beating his girlfriend up, smashed it. And the girls who he makes fun of for writing a song and tells them to fuck off. At the end, he actually plays their song. He surprises them. They've been playing this riff over and over. Then at the end, he's like, actually, ladies, just go with me. I have a fully fleshed out, fucking beautifully orchestrated song that goes right with this. Please go on with the list.
There's that song where he's screaming, do you want me because I want you? And I was like, I actually found the song quite dull at the start, and then he starts like getting naked and climbing on amps and just like screaming at the and I was like, I'm in. And then he walks
You're out of the closet,
like,
right?
He walks up and people work at the thing. He's like, what's this one song shit? And I found that funny.
That was good. Yeah.
I did write a note here of, could you not have just pitched me the album, Jeff, please?
I know.
Then he has one of the greatest conversations with Apollonia, like outside a shop somewhere, or after, I think after they have they actually hook up and have a little lovemaking scene.
Shut
up. She says, no, which way around is it?
Seashells by the seashore.
No, he says to her, see you later. And she goes, when? And his response is, why?
How is he charming? I'm so baffled. To be honest, you're helping me.
But literally, it was like, see you later. When? Why? Like,
you're helping me deal with my problem with the whole Prince enigma of like, I know he's good at guitar.
Flashbacks to Fred Armisen. Like when I was watching this, I was like, now I get the Fred Armisen impression even more than I ever did.
Yeah,
because he's just standing in the corner gazing at people. Like,
but now
really
that awkward. So he's got a good. But now that I'm seeing the real guy in his film about him, like you can't do an impression of him. He's too weird by himself. I find him weird.
Yeah,
and like
I also I wrote down that Prince invented Twin Peaks. This movie,
wow,
very
taken a half.
I'm just saying,
taken a half.
Just the awkwardness, the overacting, the score, like.
Okay, the audience. Now that we're live streaming on YouTube, I'm waiting for it didn't actually successfully stream.
I mean, have we checked the YouTube page?
No, I don't know. You told me we just have a YouTube page. Do I have to type in our name? Let's not do it. I'm just saying, the audience has to be. I feel like.
But you said you were posting a link on Insta.
Yeah, but then we did a cold open where I had to swerve it. I had to get up the Oasis Wikipedia. It was a whole thing. I'll post something on the Insta, don't worry. But yeah, I want to say the audience has to be with me here. If we get any audience traction, Chris has to just go with this. Okay, I get one mulligan a season where I just get to name the fucking episode because Prince invented Twin Peaks has to be a show title.
Oh, you've ruined it. You didn't even need to say that. Why did you even bother saying that? You said it, left it, and it would have been fine. You ruined it now.
Did you say it and no?
Sorry.
Did you say it and know that was in contention? As you said it, were you like, oh, this is show title worthy?
No, but I would have found it, and you could have told me afterwards, and it would have been
Who knew? I'm so baffled by this man. I don't get him. I find him even weirder, and not in a like I'm done with him. I've just
I've sent you this on the live stream link.
I appreciate that. To check. I'm like, thanks. Yeah, let's check while we're podding. I'm so lost with him, Christopher, because I like his music, kind of.
Yeah,
I like him, kind of. I'm also really like, I think some of the weird flirting that hasn't aged well is sort of how my vibe radar feels about him.
Sorry.
No. Oh, mate, you are putting Garden State in the toilet. That deserves a Garden State pitch.
I've also put another point here. So after I wrote Prince invented Twin Peaks, my next words are he smacked the shit out of her. So that shows where at the point where so that whole scene
so he also gave
where...
the Prodigy their inspiration. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's crazy. I also
wrote, does he kiss weird? I feel like he kisses weird.
He does everything weird. That's his whole fucking thing. How is he? I don't know how he does anything. He's like tiny, regal. Well, just who are you, mate? Like, like he's purple and his hair's strange and his facial hair is strange, and he's just. But also, let me now.
Do you not look at it
on video?
Do you not look at it and go?
Do you my favorite move while they're talking?
Kind of cute. Like,
mate,
it's still kind of cool. It's kind of like what I mean. Like,
this is my problem with him. He's very cool. He's alluring, kind of sexy. He did this for like a whole song. Do you remember?
He did.
Fucking, and I was like, that's like, and this is my thing with him is that I spend the first 10 seconds going, get the fuck off the stage, mate, and then I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
that's kind of hot.
Then he starts doing splits and like.
He's an athlete.
Yeah.
And then for the rockers and the Van Halen fans of the 80s, which I guess Jacko was also trying to appeal to, he's got a mean guitar solo that could go with the best of them.
Yeah.
And he's got this, as you were saying, with the "do you want me? I want you" thing. He'll scream like the best rocker out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But like, this isn't my comfort genre. I still don't feel it. Like, it's very, I guess, what would be like Sly and the Family Stone, soul.
So how many times did you listen to
funk? Now I'm like on 7 and 8, and it's a fucking baller album. Don't get me wrong; it's a classic.
Do you know what I think is great about this? That there's some very much sort of self-awareness in here as well. So like the film starts and it's like starts with "Let's Go Crazy," and you're kind of like, yeah, I'm in. I love
Let's
this
Go
song.
Crazy.
But then literally like 10-15 minutes later, the girls in the band who are trying to pitch other songs go, "Oh, sorry, we'll just play that same riff that you love us to play," and they start like taking the piss out of the song.
I liked that. That was really good.
I was kind of like, this is really sort of self-aware in a very sort of good way. And there's also moments in it where the people who run the venue or whatever are sort of like, people don't get your music anymore, man. You're doing it all just for you and all this sort of stuff. So
yeah, that's true. Quite self-conscious.
So part of me is like the weird awkwardness and the weird shady script writing is probably just not necessarily all him, other than the fact he's just not a great actor is kind of also a big part of it as well.
Yeah,
like MJ is not the best actor.
No,
except in another movie which I'm yet to pitch called Ghosts, which is great. But,
oh my god, is it happening?
That's a season 5 shit, mate.
There's that one scene where like something happened with the gun and his parents, and it goes from his face to the chalk outline to his face to the chalk outline, the chalk outline of the gun, his face. I actually thought his acting super melodramatic and overwrought.
He's got a stare and a gaze. I told you this.
Got a stare and a gaze all day before he slaps a bitch up. Listen.
See you later. When? Why?
Yeah, but the album for a first Prince listen, it's a weird. I guess I'm overusing the term weird, but I guess the positive spin is like no one else. Struggle? It was not a struggle though. It wasn't, and I feel myself like I'm very Prince intrigued. I might not be Prince pilled.
Is that Apollonia 6 song on that album as well, or is that something completely separate? Is any of the Morris stuff on it? Like, how many songs are on that album? Because I don't feel like there's a lot of songs in the film.
I think them all. Yeah, I think there's like snippets from all of them. Oh, okay. When Doves Cry, banger. Take Me With You, banger. Take Me With You does this weird, like, awesome crescendo moment at the end that ended up reminding me of, it's a weird week, but it reminded me of the Bando Stone and the New World album. There was a bit of crossover just because I was listening to both of those so much, and it's like black music, it's like soul music, it's like gospel kind of ish, punk ish, like it's so new wave ish. It's really cool, the crossovers I was feeling, and just so like, I feel a bit. He is a weird artist for me to approach as a guy, just because I watched this short BBC documentary on YouTube called Purple Rain, REIGN, well played BBC, and it seems like he was just too generative. There's just too much. So besides Purple Rain as the standout, if you're not a Prince head,
get into like he couldn't find a lane. It's probably like
and he just produced too much shit, and then he got into lots of arguments with record labels about owning things that are very, very relevant in the year 2024, and which are going to age very nicely for but in terms of like a catalog and approaching it in a way, I think the older I get now and doing this show more and more and more, I'm more conscious of like, how open are you to newbies? And he's kind of, besides Purple Rain, I feel like it's kind of impenetrable. I guess he's got loads of hits and like but Purple Rain is the standout. And now, as a cultural document, there is a part of the 80s that was very shadowy and purple to me before that is now a bit more illuminated and purple. And I'm glad to have been there. I'm baffled, but very intrigued. And I feel like you had a weirdly good time that I'm about to guess the scores of. I might be off because I threw there's
one more
Please.
Prince nugget, and you're gonna have to put it in the show notes because I'm gonna reference it.
Love
I did
it.
send you a couple of ticks yesterday
Yes.
after the movie. One of which being the Creep at Coachella performance, which I think he's the only one allowed to cover Creep, other than maybe Damien Rice who could cover.
Wow.
Did he? Have you heard the Damien Rice cover? It was good.
Yeah.
Cover. Yeah.
This is a fun moment. It is live. It is working.
I told you.
You did.
But his Super Bowl performance is quite famous because he plays Purple Rain in the Rain. But what I find incredible about it is that his set is a bit of Let's Go Crazy at the start, then a crazy bunch of covers in the middle, and then he sort of ends on Purple Rain. And it's kind of like, it's a pretty baller move if you're Prince to not actually play your own shit.
What do you remember? What covers?
Yep. So he covers All Along the Watchtower. He covers Best of You by Foo Fighters. He just does this random sort of mixture medley thing in the middle of his Super Bowl performance, and then ends on Purple Rain. By the way, it's pissing down with rain. He's got dancers in high heels on a stage that are likely to slip over.
Mate.
There's another little YouTube documentary which I haven't found, but I can find it for you, where it's just the guys who sort of produced the performance or who put it together were talking about how they were like having to cool it off or thinking about cooling it off because of the weather and the storm, and that like we could electrocute Prince on stage sort of thing because he's got like live microphones and wires and stuff like that.
Mate.
So it's quite an epic performance. I think it's from 2008.
So you just, as a muso, were aware of these like legendary clips kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we could add to them. You must have sent this. The While My Guitar Gently Weeps guitar solo at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But apparently he just goes off on like a 9-minute.
Oh, mate. Okay, good. I at least have one to contribute that you haven't seen.
It comes up when you look up Prince, but I haven't.
Yeah. No, I can't wait for you to watch that, and we'll get your reaction on next week's podcast. What do you think of as not much of an Instagrammer? What do you think of this? You got the link, you got We're Live, pal, and you got the photo.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And they're going to miss the Prince review, which is probably a good
thing. If you join, it's posted. So are you going to get the scores and guesses potentially? Christopher, are you okay? This review is throwing me because I thought anticipation wise, a week is a long time.
Oh,
okay. And
yes, it's been a really long week.
I got a lot of guff about certain other things could have been pitched to accommodate me better. I was like, listen, blah blah blah. I thought you were going to be a 3 in anticipation still because this is just something you were like, hey, when I do find the time and means, this is something I'm looking forward to watching. And then I do think you're a bit of a weird guy with a weird brain, and you've been MJ pilled from back when you were just a little newborn in the late 80s. So I thought you'd be a 3 for enjoyment too. I genuinely did. And then afterwards,
characteristic. What was sorry?
Is it actually? No. Is that in things these days?
Age is genuinely a protected characteristic. Fuck you. What was your enjoyment guess? Sorry,
3.
Okay, cool.
But then I thought for afterwards, I thought you were going to come back, live with the normies, and be a 2 in retrospect. I did not. From the tone of this review, I think that's my biggest regret. I could have gone to a 4 for that, but let's hear it.
2 off.
Total? Oh, interesting. Okay, let's hear it.
I was a 2 in anticipation.
Interesting.
And this is very much a lifestyle trying to cram an hour 50-minute movie into life in time for this pod. That was it was kind of, it's probably a bit harsh, and also I probably would have digged the album more than the movie. I was a 3 in enjoyment. But I was also a 3 in retrospect. This is history, Jeffrey. This is the movie for the album for the guy from the time. And might not be for everyone, but there's some good stuff in it. There's some weird stuff in it. Some people might be into that weird stuff, and if they are, I'm worried about them. But
we talk about this whole catalog thing. Certain artists are just, I like this one song and I'm fine with it. Others are, I really want to get into them. After this now, how do you feel about Prince going forward? Let's say you didn't have the leash that is this podcast with new stuff here every week, and you just had like some time. Do you feel like Purple Rain, the album, was something you dip into more? Are you curious about different Prince things? Like, how do you feel after your Purple Rain time?
I would love to listen to more Prince. I don't know how many albums are there. Are there like 50? Are there 12?
Yeah, no, more in the 50 range, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah, towards the end, I think on his own label, he just went ham and he wouldn't stop. I can actually have a look here. He has so many, just 40 studio albums. So yeah, there you go.
Hell,
yeah, exactly, bro.
Purple Rain, mate.
Yeah, so isn't that crazy? If you get to that level,
yeah,
right, and it's like someone else is like, well, I can't fucking go to your thing then. What's the equivalent?
I was thinking about. I'm wondering whether there are other bands that you've pitched or I've pitched that we're kind of like, yeah, we'd love to, but nah. Like, you know, what was it we said the other day? Like, I was actually talking to someone at work as well. I was like, you know. Midnights is my Taylor Swift album. That's my album now, and I'm kind of like, that's the one I go to.
Springsteen, like this is just such a long history.
You're like, I just listen to Born to Run or whatever it is. Then the crazies will be like mad at you because you don't know the B-side off of some other thing, but you'll be like, like we would be to any other Radiohead guy that goes, I'm just kind of like the Benz guy. And
exactly,
go,
and that's
you.
The crazies are you are my people.
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting how sometimes you get. I think it's okay to sometimes be only this album person. I think
like, I like the first 3 Radiohead albums, and then they kind of just went a bit weird, and you're like,
nah, get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here.
Now, talking of going a bit weird on your albums,
he did it. Segue.
So I'm sad. I did not listen to this album as much as I wanted to, but I pitched it to you, and that was your job this week. So
I did
Jeffrey,
my job.
Take us away on Bando Stone and
there are
New World.
2 pending ticks in your WhatsApp that I haven't sent yet, so I'm on 10? At least 9 listens, if not 10. Listen,
and
I've always
the single still the only banger on there, or have you moved around?
No, so the first 2 listens, the single was the only banger,
and is the last one on the album?
What is it, or is it a banger? It's called A Place Where Love Goes, and that is also. Running Around's now my favorite. Running Around will get you. You let that one get you, Christopher, okay? The thing is about this album now is that I thought, like usual, you let it simmer, you let it soak, you let it absorb, you become a sponge for the album, Christopher. And then I'll end up being able to sort of summarize it a bit better. But like the more, it's that really nice album feeling where the more you listen to it, there's actually more layers. There is such a potpourri of vibes on this album. That phrase occurred to me in the gym today when I was listening to it, and I was like, I have to use that.
You know what? Also had a potpourri of vibes.
What?
Purple Rain.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this has an even more eclectic potpourri of vibes.
You could argue that these 2 albums, by the way.
Yeah, it's
for
quite a
their
thing.
Are doing the same thing, but just in different times.
Kind of.
I mean, Donald Glover's not battering women in his movie, but
no. So okay, go on there to expand just a bit on what else is it? Just because of how eclectic and
it's just
all
experimental.
Over the shop it is?
Like I don't know. Purple Rain landing in the 80s, while it's still very dated production-y, it's still very experimental in what he's trying.
Very experimental. Yeah.
And what like Childish Gambino, I should say, is doing on this album. And probably the reason why things didn't jump out at me in the first 2 listens is because he's doing so much. He's doing so much, and so much of it is great. And
Gambino, you're doing so much right now. It's like that little kid voice in one of the songs. I think it's Got to Be. This little kid voice is like, I try to warn you, motherfuckers, Gambino's back. There's lots of fun, like kid voices opening the album and playing around with it. And I think there's lots of nods to like his kids. He's a big family man. I'd rather be with my family than be at the Grammys is one of the lines that stuck out very early on. And this is basically after a run of very acclaimed albums. He's had a very interesting career. Donald Glover's rap alias Childish Gambino. He's made albums.
And he's putting Childish Gambino to bed after this.
Yeah, and this is basically he's put it out there. This is the last one. So it's a weird one because I've always been like, he's fucking cool as shit.
And just
then
to sum up his coolness, and I keep interrupting you. Sorry.
Please. No.
Just look at the album cover.
Help me.
Guy's just sitting there.
Fucking cool ass album cover.
Holding a chicken. I mean, no one else could do that. Just.
And I've been a very casual album listener of his. So Camp 2011, Because the Internet 2013, Awaken My Love 2016. 3/15/20 in 2020 that was reissued as Atavista this year. That was a whole weird COVID related half released and full release that now no one's that in. It's all about Bando Stone and the New World. So it's technically his 5th album. I was a big Because the Internet guy because of the singles. I think you've got 3005 on there and Sweatpants on there. Awaken My Love I think had Redbone on there. And then 2 years after that, he drops This Is America.
Redbone was covered by a band I know called JX. Just putting it out there.
Shout out JX and the Redbone cover. Yeah. But I've always been a singles guy with him, and I've always meant to listen to the album. So it's funny that finally on his last album, the podcast helped me do an album deep dive proper, and he be wildin'. He's having a good time. He's fucking good at this shit. And you know what we're talking about the Prince comparisons. I don't think he's quite the unicorn that Prince is musically.
No, I just
I know. I'm not saying you said that. I'm just to make my own point. I think he's a unicorn across media. He's like a way better actor than Prince, and way funnier. Whereas Prince was like a very specific music-shaped unicorn. Donald Glover, I think, sometimes suffers the thing of just like being too talented at too many different things. So you'd worry that his projects will get too diffuse. But actually, that's probably a really good impetus to sign off the project on a high while it's still fucking banging. And he's doing way more press now. After years of being quite evasive when it comes to his musical work, he's like, he did the fucking shout out the signature music press tour stops. He's done the Apple Music with Zane Lowe. He's doing bits. He's on Insta Live talking. He's a lot more active on. I think he might have. I think he might have done a hot one.
Probably.
Oh, really? Does that count? However, okay, it'll go in the show notes if it was in 3 months.
What, in the last 3 months?
In the last 3 months, it goes in the show notes.
I think it's done in the last 3 months. I think it's
all right, then it's not in the show notes.
Probably on
Hot
Star
Ones.
Wars tour or his...
Hot Ones takes yet another L, unfortunately. But yeah, so he's been all over the shop in his media, and now I'm listening without a critical ear at first. I'm just trying to have a good time, and guess what? If you're here for that, you're fucking getting it. Maybe not every. It reminded me weirdly of this Animal Collective quote. Animal Collective are a band, and on interview.
Have I listened to an album? I feel like you've pitched them to me.
No, I've hovered around it. Maybe I've mentioned it, but on an interview I recorded live at Rough Trade East that I then uploaded to my YouTube channel. That's getting in the show notes. They said something really interesting about how like
most views on your YouTube
channel. There's one other interview that tops it. They made this really great, funny point about how like there's no fan of our band that loves every album equally.
Yeah.
And I feel like that about the songs on this. There's such a mishmash that like maybe by the end, and you've listened to everything, and you have different moods. If you're multifaceted and have many moods, but like if you are just a bit like I want this shit, he's doing at least three distinctive different types of banger. One is a bit more I'm in your face, I'm rapping. One is a bit more chill, fucking vibey banger, and another one is sort of almost emo pop punk, sort of dipping
like,
in.
One of the songs. So I listened to it. I probably listened to the first half like maybe 3 times, all the way through, maybe twice. Like I've put it on in loads of different occasions over the last very long week. Quite far apart. But the second track on the album always grabbed me. I think it's kind of like an emotive sort of screamy, singy one.
Lithonia.
Yeah. Like,
dude,
that always caught me out. I was like, where is this guy coming from? Like it just.
Dude, he's been listening to his Nirvana and Weezer, and he's grunging it up, and it's fucking sick. And it's got this motif of no one gives a fuck that gets repeated later. No one cares. It's got weird dialogue in the interludes that I think must be features of the movie, and it's funny stuff.
If the film ever comes out,
if the film ever comes out.
Have you been on the Reddits? Do we know what's happening?
No, I haven't quite been on the Reddits, but it's cool stuff. Ludwig Göransson is composing and producing on a lot of these songs, and he's the guy who did the soundtrack for fucking Oppenheimer, so he's a big wig. Wow. He comes in later for the extended track No Excuses with lots of cool stringy stuff, and then he's got fucking the dude who what's his name, Kamasi Washington, who does a long extended sax solo. He's got another funk band feature. Like I don't know, he's done this really cool thing of like in 2024 the analogy would be like you get a playlist of all your favorite genres, and then you're like, oh, can I do an album that ticks all those boxes? And he's done it, and it somehow still coheres, because guess what, unfortunately for the rest of us less talented people, he can rap really well, and he can sing quite well too. There are quite a few standout moments on this album. Maybe he's not like Mariah Carey or anything, but like he sings really nicely for the songs he writes. And weirdly, so with all the Prince comparisons, you know what name occurred to me today? And I was thinking, gosh, if this guy released it, it would be hailed as a masterpiece potentially, I feel like, and that's Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean has somehow dipped out the scene, and he gets more mysterious and weird with every year he doesn't produce a follow-up to 2016's Blonde. Whereas Childish Gambino's just been fucking out here doing, whether it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Atlanta or Star Wars or the music. And I feel like, or Community, and I feel like we do take him for granted. And maybe Frank Ocean is a bit more visionary, genius, and Donald Glover is slightly more pedestrian, just in comparison to Frank Ocean. But this album is a fucking banger. This album is a fucking banger. Yeah, exactly. If we want to, we should go for the most clickbaity fucking. But dude, this really
my take for anyone who's interested in this album,
please,
would be listen to A Place Where Love Goes, and that's your jam.
That's interesting because that's the closer. This is interesting to me that one's got.
I was listening to the whole album going, I've heard the single. Where's the single? Like as I was listening to it the first time.
Place where love goes.
But that's what I remember. It came on in the car, and I was like, what is this? Who is this? And I was like, oh, it's fucking Childish Gambino.
I
had no idea, and I was like, right, I need to listen to this album because that grabbed me, and that's drawn me in. So
that's
I just feel if someone's not quite sure whether they want.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like,
how often do you get recommended the album closer? That's really fun. Do you know why I agree with that take? It's because
I feel like that song sort of sums up all the different things.
It's almost like if you look at every song's mashup of genres and look at it like almost cooking, like, oh, I used 300 mil of this and a bit of that. Like it's what particular chemistry works for you. And for me right now, Running Around has this mix of like a bit of a laid back hip hoppy vibe, but also a bit of a pop punky thing. That's just the exact right amount of both. That fucking when I was running today, I was just like, this is the best song.
You ran today? I didn't see it on Strava.
Oh well, it was on B-Reel. There's just too many socials. Do you know what? How have B-Reels never been in the show notes? Beyond me. They will from today. But here's
if you can run them in time.
I'll leave it at this, Christopher. 10 listens in. I am so not done discovering this album. Like I feel a bit Purple Rained Out. I need a break, but I'm not done with this album, and it might be.
Do you know when I was Purple Rained Out?
Let's hear it. When he splat
halfway through Purple Rain.
when he smacked his girlfriend, he's like, "Jeez," he went in, and then he's like trying to explain it to her. He's like, "Sorry." She's like, "But I'm just playing my songs." That's the point I wanted to make. You've reminded me. Thank you. They almost make a villain out of her for wanting to do her own songs. She gets like a 2-minute thing of doing her own songs, but then the whole climax of the movie is your man Prince on stage for like 20 minutes. Everyone's like, yeah, you're the man. And she's there like, yay. It's like she got her 2 minutes on stage and he was like, Grr.
What about after her first gig where Morris Matey like gets her pissed up, tries to like make out with her in an alley. She pushed, and then Prince runs him over in his motorcycle and is basically like, chases her with his motorcycle, and she hops on the motorcycle.
She was going to get in the car with Morris. Do you know what? Low key, rom-com vibes. She was starting to like Morris's weird humor.
He was oddly charming and just a
little
oddly
bit charming,
like,
despite that opening scene. It was all about Morris and the other guy. It was them as a double act. Do you remember? And they throw this other girl in a trash can.
We're rewinding 20 minutes or whatever. The other note I had down, which I didn't reference, was just the bants when like the one band came off stage. It was just sort of pointing and laughing at the other band in the room, like waiting. There was good bands.
That was good banter. Talking about good bands. Talking about good bands. The show, the CCCAHs. That's right, baby. You're at the right place. YouTube viewers. Should we check how many we have? Let's not. That's quite embarrassing.
It will be you and or me.
But the graphic on the Insta is pretty good.
Simpsons t-shirt that I didn't send you said, it's not Tim Lovejoy, is it? What's Reverend
Lovejoy?
Reverend Lovejoy Division and or role? And I was just like,
why are you seeing these?
A guy at work was just like, check out these t-shirts, and I was like,
that's fantastic.
A guy who loves merch. Anyway, Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
Shall we scores it? Doors it.
Let's scores it. Scores it, doors it. That's the classic phrase. So, can I just say something to you? Because it's in my mind all the time when it comes to Simpsons quotes. And I've never understood it, but I'm always thinking it. And I think it's the best thing ever. Okay. Ned goes to Reverend Lovejoy. I need to know, Reverend, is God punishing me? And Reverend Lovejoy says, oh, short answer, yes, with an if. Long answer, no, with a but. I fucking always think about that. When someone's giving me a question that I don't understand, I always find that clip and like copy and paste it. And I don't know what it means, but I love it.
Is that also from Home of the
Hurricane Neddy?
Oh yeah, sorry.
All the doubt-ridden Simpsons episodes where people question their faith. Those are really deep and good.
Yeah.
Pictures coming soon. Okay, so my scores are as follows.
We don't have enough Simpsons on this pod. Okay.
Agreed.
Your scores can't be as follows because I've got to guess them first, Jeffrey.
Indeed.
That's how this game works.
Wasn't listening to the 30-second game.
Well, you're not.
No.
I had you as a 3 in anticipation.
Interesting.
And I think I've got these next 2 wrong, but I've gone with 4-4.
Oh,
I wasn't quite sure, but I'm gonna guess it's a 3-4-5. I think you've done this. Is that
so? That's 2 weeks on the trot. We have drawn. I'm pretty sure we drew last week, right? You're 2 off because I was 4 in anticipation because I've been waiting for this album. I've been waiting. I've been here for it. And Christopher,
really, you sound surprised when I told you about it.
We'll talk about this off pod, but it's especially
off pod.
No, not really. He's teased me with this is kind of a cynical move, Donald Glover, but I appreciate you and I hear you. But like, it's the last album also means it's the last tour. So again, off pod,
have you got tickets?
No, but again, off pod, we'll have words. So there's that aspect to listening and appreciating the album in time for, a big part of my whole FOMO thing is catch people before they die, which is like Prince's O2 run to me now is fucking crazy that I missed it. The fact that the O2's on our doorstep, do you know what I mean? So what's better than like I'm about to retire the whole moniker?
Like I looked up tickets and I was like, oh,
what, back when you were a young little lad?
No, Childish Gambino.
Yeah, no, they're crazy.
Yeah, and I was kind of like,
they're not Oasis level. They're not dynamic priced. Even though
sorry, I've missed all of this because I was busy trying to sign up for the Wimbledon ballot. So
fair play, dude. The amount of years I've spent trying to sign up to that piece of fucking shit. We could just talk about that. The Wimbledon ballot.
I miss it. It's 2 weeks in September, which is the time of year you're not thinking about Wimbledon.
The Wimbledon ballot is literally a hellscape, and let's just. Do you know what? Wimbledon ballot bad. Oasis tickets bad. Let's just do the score.
So you're a 4 in anticipation.
Yeah, I was a 4. I was a 5 for enjoyment. I feel like I'm 10 listens in, and I'm going to listen to it tomorrow still.
So
and
you're a 4-5-5 or a 4-5-4?
I'm a 4-5-4. And then I leveled out with a 4 because we're still out here leveling out. And if you get the 5 for retrospect, yeah, well, if you're a 5 for retrospect, I just feel like that's me canceling the show to only be a fan of that now. That's what 5 means to me. By the way, it doesn't. That's a joke. So if Chris ever tries to bring that up as a thing,
I think we've pitched Community, we've pitched Atlanta.
Oh, in terms of our Donald Glover Hall of Fame,
Bando Stone. I wonder where your scores have landed. I think I pitched all 3 of these to you.
Yeah, you've definitely pitched Community.
Definitely pitched scores are.
Atlanta. Yeah. They're getting better now in terms of the show notes. They are just because that one's probably my high. I've enjoyed. Atlanta was wicked. You pitched a very creepy sort of story. Concept heavy episode I really enjoyed. Community was just a bit of a classic, but I'm not sure it blew my socks off. Sitcoms get a bad rap on this show sometimes. We come here trying to be masterpieced out. To be fair, Solar Opposites last week did buck the trend. But I will say this was, it's gone up and up. And interestingly, doing a tiny bit of research around the album, I listened to one podcast called Dissected, which is on Spotify and does like deep dives into albums. Does like a whole.
I think I saw it on your B-reel the other day.
Yes, fantastic. Because you got to sync up that B-reel, ladies and gents. And if I'm right, they did a sort of, because this is quite new, this album, they did a special episode just for this album and sort of a reaction to the whole album. And the guys loved it, and they did a really good sort of music journos sort of getting in the weeds of song production and vibes sort of take on it, which was really fun and enjoyable. And then your boy found a new podcast that sort of reviewed it just more from the point of view of like Childish Gambino / Donald Glover's place in the culture. What do people think of him in the black community and how he's treated black women in his art? And they spent 30 minutes hammering the lad. Really? And I found it really interesting because I didn't feel as strongly like, as opposed to the music side, I didn't feel like I had my own point of view on it, but it felt very educational how some people in his fandom and who appreciate bits, but like people talking about how like This Is America is exploitative and how he'd never given enough love to black women and all these takes that I was like, oh, this is a very in the community, but it's like an interesting to round out. To be honest, he is one of these figures sometimes who, if you aren't looking in those corners, it does seem just like universal praise, but it's not. And I think I will link to that episode just to round out the opinions on him. But yeah, for me, this was just wall-to-wall fun, musical vibes. It definitely, another thing, Chris has recommended A Place Where Love Goes, which is sort of his crescendoing closer of like, at the end of the day, I am now a pretty... How do you make fun, exciting, happy music about like finding your feet as a family man amidst celebrity and all this shit? And he makes it fun. Dadvocate is another really good example of that. So just to say, if you're going for that single and trying out the album, it's definitely if you like any of the genres he touches, it gets your creative juices flowing. You do come out of it wanting to dance a bit, wanting to make your own tunes. Shout out to the people out there making your own tunes. Listen to music that inspires you, people. And with that said, Christopher, would you like to come on to some pitches? Because based off let
me get my next day.
Yeah, your next assignment
up and running. Are you pitching or am I pitching first? What we do?
I'm pitching to you, Christopher, because on the 10th of August, on a Saturday, your man Lee Mack went onto the stage and he did a thing called the 1% Club. And that's right, I'm sending you and your bags packing, because you're having to open the ITV app once again to watch an episode of the 1% Club. Comedy legend Lee Mack presents the quiz show where it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50, and where 100 contestants battle for a chance to win a potential jackpot of £100,000.
I'm watching an ITV game show.
You're watching an ITV game. To be fair, I will credit your sister Bex with this shout, because we were having a little banter and a little chat about how close I came, Christopher, to pitching you an old episode of Catchphrase. I thought, let me just put a slightly current spin on it.
10th of August episode.
Yes, I will send you the link. Oh dear, that's what you're being pitched, bro.
When was he on? When did Lee Mack do ITV? I thought it was like a BBC guy, man.
This is the third season of the 1% Club. Oh, question: is this your first time hearing about the 1% Club?
I feel like I may be aware of it, but I mean, do you not just want to pitch me an episode of like season 52 of Not Going Out? Because I've got time for that. Like,
hey, listen.
Am I gonna have to pay for like a month of ITV Plus? I don't have to deal with the adverts.
Now I'll get you the VHS. It's fine. Now listen, if you've done Not Going Out, it's like you've done Purple Rain by Prince. Okay, try one of the unreleased. This is a big show. It's on its third season. It's doing bits.
How long's the episode?
It's the Saturday, the 10th of August episode.
How
I've sent you
long
the
is
link.
the episode?
Oh, listen, it's an hour.
Fine.
Including ads.
I don't feel
which you
bad
can skip through.
about giving you such a fucking gloriously wonderful pitch.
Oh, have you?
Yes, because I'm a nice person, Jeffrey.
I mean, have you seen some of your pictures? Let's see.
Yes, they're lovely. You listen. How great a time have you had this past week/3?
No, this bit, no.
I'm just
yeah. However many times I listened to it in however many days, it was a very good time.
I watched a Sonic 3 trailer the other.
Hold on. Did I just get swerved?
Bear with me.
What's going on?
I watched a Sonic 3 trailer this week that got me very excited.
Am I on Impractical Jokers?
No, you're not. Okay. And I was just like, you know what? Ben Schwartz is great. I also pitched to you last week.
Clever. Been very
Solar
clever.
Opposites, which had another guy that I like called Tom Middleditch. And in 2020, there's a limited series that dropped on Netflix called Middleditch and Schwartz, of which there were 3 episodes that are completely improvised comedy specials. They come out, they just do 51 minutes or 52 minutes of just random improv of two. It looks like 2 friends having a whale of a time in front of a live audience.
Never heard of such a thing.
No, doesn't matter. We never do we have an audience? Unlikely right now. But yeah, so first episode of this, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I think there are only 3 episodes on Netflix. Just watch the first one, which I think is called Parking Lot Wedding. And I've looked at this and I think I tried to watch this episode maybe 5, possibly less than that because it came out in 2020. Probably a couple of years ago, I tried to watch it and I can see that I only got partway through it. So I probably clearly got distracted and did something. So I want to go back and watch it because I like these 2 people.
I wonder.
So, one's in one of my favorite movies ever. The other's in a TV show I really like at the moment. So yes, I did just say Sonic's one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, okay. Literally. And what's the TV show? Parks and Rec.
Solar Opposites.
Tom
Middleditch.
Schwartz is in Parks and Rec, though, right?
Schwartz is in Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Yeah,
just you're doing a lot of this.
He plays Sonic. And
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Which now is it got a 3rd movie coming out or a TV series?
It's
both.
Got a 3rd movie. You did send me a link to the TV series.
Is that me? Oh,
yeah.
mate.
But yeah, 3rd movie, and I watched the trailer, and Jim Carrey's in it, so everyone's happy. So,
everyone's a happy person.
So that's your pitch. I'm watching Lee Mack. We're looking. Somehow
Listen,
done it.
When you put it like that, aren't you a happy guy?
Yep.
Comedy special.
It's gonna be fun.
Comedy special. Are you really a big Not Going Out guy?
I was obsessed with that series for a very long time.
Oh, I love that for you.
And then I sort of lost track of it. There were Christmas specials, and then I think it's when
BBC loses us with the
when
Christmas
they become
specials.
a family and the couple get together and they have kids and
kill me.
Yeah.
Oh my days! Get out of here, Jesus Christ!
Oh God, it's like when Monica and Charlotte finally get together.
It's like,
oh Jesus Christ!
Anyway, on that
Rachel
note,
got off the plane. Like, kill me.
Yeah.
We all preferred Ross when he was a dick. Anyway.
It's all about the chase, which we have talked about in other forms of art and entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have missed you. Have you missed hearing that? No, probably not. No. But we've missed you, even though it's only been a week. We still find the time and energy, emotional energy, to miss you. And that's why we're going to not wait too long. A week as usual, Christopher?
Yeah, we'll be back next Thursday. We're always back next Thursday. Yeah,
Will we be live on YouTube?
I mean, this is technically a Tuesday. People are like, if people find this, if they're on your gram, if they're viewing, they're getting it early. Good luck to them.
Hi, people on my gram. You're cool. But listen, this is just a test. The thing we really do, and is our business. It's our bread. It's our butter. It is the podcast feed. Link in the bio. Now, this is the end. This is the bit where I say goodbye, and he says, "Take care." So goodbye.
And take care. Bye, YouTube. I don't know how we say goodbye to YouTube.
I missed this.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go back. We're leaving the streaming.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back and watch the 30-second game because I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't know where you found those glasses or who you've been yeeting, but like, they're my favorite things.
Okay, I'll
stream now.
I'll clip that out. Bye.